Welcome to Purpose After Sports, where we interview athletes to share their post-sport journeys and explore how they are reinventing what it means to compete. Today we have Billy Mote, former collegiate baseball player and now owner of Finding Belief. So happy to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we've done short form content with you in the past. You have a lot of wisdom to share with baseball athletes, but athletes in general, right? And I think it's time that they know a little bit more about your story.
Okay.
So let's go back to how Billy got into baseball or sports in general.
Okay, so my dad, his name's Greg, he played baseball at Illinois State University in 92 to 96. So baseball has been a thing in my family my entire life. Playing from the time I was little, and then when I got to high school, I was pretty undersized, small, and then I was told by some colleges like, yeah, like you have no shot here. You're just not big enough, fast enough, strong enough, all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. That's fun.
Yeah.
But then I found Athlete Factory here, found, Chad and Austin was here at that time.
Yeah.
And I just went to work on myself for 2 years, put on a bunch of weight, and then ended up signing to Baylor at a high school. Played there, bounced around. I think I went to 4 different colleges. Went to Baylor freshman year, bounced to JUCO, went to Creighton in the Big East for 1 semester, and then finished up at Southeastern. So it's been a long career, ups and downs, and finished in 2022.
Okay, so talk to me about the grind, knowing, was it I want to reach D1 or I want to prove people wrong? Where did that drive come into? I want to make myself better.
Yeah, so I actually went to a camp, to a college around this area. I'm not going to say who it was,
Okay.
but they had this form that they filled out after every kid went through their camp. And
Okay.
at the bottom it said high major, D1, mid major, small, D2, D3, NAIA, or like small Christian school was the last section. So they would like evaluate you and then tell you where they think you could go, which they don't do that anymore.
Right,
Because if they
right.
did, they'd have problems.
Yeah.
But they wrote, they wrote like very small Christian school, and then
Okay.
they told my dad like, hey, he's got no shot. And this was after my
Wow.
freshman year of high school. So so I sat down with my dad because I could always, I could hit, and that was my thing, but I was
Yeah.
little. And he's like, all right, I need you to write down 10 schools that you want to go to. I don't care how big they are. He's like, go as big as you want. So I wrote down, obviously, Texas, Baylor, because my family's from Texas.
Yeah.
Love the Big 12 conference. And I wrote those out, and he said, all right, we're going to get you there.
Yeah.
But the only way that's going to happen is if you work harder than anybody else has ever worked. And you have to see that in your mind before it happens.
Mhm.
So I learned how to do that. I learned the Dickens process. I learned how to visualize where I want to go, who I want to become,
Yeah.
and how to break through all the BS in my head that was holding me back from getting there. And then when I saw myself in that place playing high major Division I and beyond, it was already a done deal in my head. So then I
Yeah.
didn't need motivation. I didn't need a David Goggins video. I knew what I needed to do,
Mhm.
and I just obsessed over it for years. And that led me to luckily signing to one of those schools.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And especially to have that kind of guidance at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to college, your first year. Is it a culture shock? How is it stepping in as a freshman?
Oh man, so they brought us in the summer. The
Okay.
freshmen they brought us in, but 6 days before I got there, I was in the MC Strong All-Star game, and my cousin Logan, who was 20 at the time, he passed away that day of the All-Star game. No, thank you. It was back in 2017. So I had to go literally pack up my truck before the funeral
Yeah.
and then drive after the funeral to Baylor. And I had never been away from home. So
Right.
that already kind of messed me up internally.
Yeah.
But when I got there, I realized that I was one of 65 players on the roster.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, I was the first guy to sign, and I was the first guy in their class. And I had a really great senior year, first team All-State, set
Yeah.
records at U High. Like, I was feeling good. I get there, and I'm surrounded by 7 first-round draft picks, 65 guys.
Oh my
Like,
gosh. Do you know how many people were in your position? Do you remember how many?
yeah, they brought me in as a shortstop,
Okay.
but I was kind of the guy that could go anywhere. But
Okay.
there were 5 shortstops, 4 second basemen, and 4 third basemen. So
A
yeah,
lot of competition. Okay.
yeah, a lot. And when I got there, we had morning weights at 4:45 a.m. 5 days a week
Wow.
from August through November. We had guys on anxiety meds, depression meds. Like they were trying to force guys out, pretty
Yeah.
much. Like who can handle it, who can hack it, and who can't.
Right.
And they did their job. Like my roommate got cut. Like it was a lot.
So you could, even if you signed, you still had the potential to be cut?
Yeah, after the fall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I don't know how that works, and I know that there were a lot of NCAA violations that year
Okay.
with that staff. But it was they brought in a bunch of walk-ons where
Gotcha.
they like promised them money for the next semester or the next year,
Mm.
and then they ended up getting rid of 30 guys after the fall. Yeah, it was crazy. No, it was about 25 guys because we were left with 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
It's a wild ride.
Okay.
Wow.
So we get through training camp, and then how was that first actual season of freshman year? Did we see any time on the field, or was it just cheering on our teammates? How did that go?
So what happened after the fall, I had a really good fall.
Okay.
Although I was really messed up in my head, I still played well.
Okay.
And they actually doubled my scholarship after the fall.
Oh,
And they were
wow.
like, you know how they do like the preseason articles and
Yeah.
it said Mote has potential to make an impact. But I was so messed up internally in my head
Yeah.
and people needed me back here. So I told the staff, I'm like, listen, I don't want to burn a year getting 50 at bats. I want to be here, but I would like a red shirt. And so I asked that in January,
Okay.
and he said no. He said no at first, and then he kept getting me warm for pinch hit at bats.
Yeah.
Like we were playing Texas Tech, bottom of the ninth inning on a Friday in front of 5,000 fans, and he's like, "Mo, get loose." And at that point, I'm 18. I'm like, hell
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna play against Texas Tech. You kidding me? I don't care if I get one at bat. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on deck, and then he rips me out last minute. So he was like kind of messing with me, trying to see if I would want it and if I didn't.
Yeah.
And I told him finally after that one, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not.
Yeah.
I want this red shirt.
Okay.
So I did not play, and then I left after we won the Big 12 tournament. I went back home.
Wow.
So
How was that experience though? Still winning the Big 12? Like, did you feel like you were part of it, or were you kind of separated from it?
I definitely felt like I was a part of it. It was
Yeah.
great. I mean, it was an incredible experience. I
Right.
mean, our shortstop that year, first round draft pick, our catcher, first round draft pick, backup catcher, third round, like Friday night. We had so many first rounders, and I think 4 of them are in the bigs now. So it was a really cool experience learning from those guys and playing
Yeah.
with them and competing. It was a great year. But
Okay.
all that aside, when you're competitive and you ask for a red shirt knowing that you probably could have played,
Yeah.
that was a tough pill to swallow, but I am glad I did it.
Okay, good.
So.
Okay, so you make the decision, redshirt, we want to come home, and then talk to me about your next journeys with schools and how that went.
Okay, so I went to Heartland Community College.
Okay.
So I came back home, close to family. That was my thought process.
Yeah.
Heartland was good. It was I was there a year. It was interesting.
Okay.
Again, they brought in a ton of guys. Like we had over 60 guys that
Even
that
at
fall.
JUCO?
Yeah, JUCO.
Oh my
Yeah, and
gosh,
there
okay.
aren't as many rules at junior college.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff going on there. Being the kid from back home that goes to Heartland,
Yeah.
it's like a lot of noise going on, a lot of
Mhm.
chatter, and that was fine. But I really struggled in the fall.
Okay.
Like just all the stuff going through my head. I had so much self-doubt. I was a shell of myself pretty much in that
Okay.
fall.
Yeah.
Didn't play very well, but played well enough during certain events that I had quite a few schools on me.
Okay.
Fast forward to the spring, played okay. Didn't play great, played
Mhm.
okay, but chose Creighton in the Big East. But I had some other schools that I probably should have chosen to go to, but I chose them solely out of financial gain.
Yeah.
So yeah, Heartland was interesting though. It was good being back home and yeah.
What do you think of, because a lot of times you see it's JUCO to D1, and I
Mhm.
know you talked a little bit about, but how does that feel to go D1 to JUCO? Um, does it feel like I have something to prove all over again, or were you kind of a little bit confident in what you already brought and got to see at the D1 level?
Yeah, it was a combination of both.
Okay.
If I would have gone to a JUCO that was not in Bloomington, Illinois, I think it would have been a little better.
Okay.
Because, when you get back, there were people making memes of, oh, he washed out,
Yeah.
which is fine. And that stuff didn't really bother me. I was used to all that.
Okay.
But going from a high major Division I to a JUCO, there's kind of that chip on your shoulder of, okay, I'm getting back to where I was.
Yeah.
But on the other end, there was always that doubt in the back of my head, like, can you make it there again?
Yeah.
So there was that nagging voice in my head before I figured out how sports psychology works and how I could, leverage my mind. It was a rough ride for sure.
So who did you have to lean on in those times to kind of talk to, or did you try to internalize it, or how did that work?
Family.
Really?
My dad, he taught me everything, and my mom too. Like, I was very grateful to have my family there because my dad played, he coached college baseball. Like, he had feel, and he helped me navigate all of it. But to a certain extent, you do internalize these things, and that's kind of what we're taught as men at times, to keep it all in, figure it out, be a man, just be mentally tough.
Right.
And that's all fine and good, but how? No one tells you how.
Yeah.
So luckily, I had one of those dads that didn't rip you to shreds when you don't play well. I had the guy that was like, all right, how can we build you up to make you feel good, to like get you back to where you need to be? So I really relied on him heavily.
So can we talk about your senior year of baseball? How are we feeling with, do you maybe want to continue, or what's the thought process?
Of college, senior year of college?
Yes.
Yeah, so when I transferred from Creighton, it was right during COVID. Then I signed to Southeastern University. It's the #1 NAI in the country. We won the World Series my second year, so my last year. Like, we would lose 2 to 3 times a year. It was that kind of team. Every single guy was high major Division I transfer.
Now, did you know this going? I'm sure you did your research, but you knew how good they were when choosing them. Okay.
Yeah, I knew it, and by that point, I knew who I was as a player. I knew what I had to offer. They valued me. It was the right fit. I finally found the right coaching staff that I could play free under.
Yeah.
And when I got there, I was pumped, ready to go, playing super well. But then I got in a car accident and broke my spine. Then I was told after that I could never play the game again.
Oh my gosh.
That was here in town. Oh no, I got in a car accident in Florida.
Yeah.
Was stopped for an ambulance, pulling out in the middle of a tropical storm. Woman behind me hit me when I was stopped because she was going 65, knocked me out, broke my back. So that was what I experienced when I finally got to the place to where I knew who I was.
Yeah.
I get in the accident and they're like, yeah, you're done. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Right.
So I talked to 7 surgeons over 6 months. They all said no. Tiger Woods' a surgeon.
Yeah.
I got every big guy I could I talked to.
Yeah.
And most of them were like, either you need an artificial disc, which is not covered under insurance, and it's experimental, or you need a spinal fusion, you just can't play. Okay. So I just kept saying no. I'm like, no, there's no way that I figured it out now.
And I'm done.
Yeah. I just couldn't accept it. And I'm glad I didn't. And I got into a surgeon in Chicago, and he said, I can get you back out there. So I was like,
gosh.
Say, hell yeah, okay. So had that surgery, came back. I was cleared to swing after 8 months of not playing. So I get cleared in my coaching staff. I'm taking my first swings in the cage at like 6 in the morning before our senior day. And my coach is like, hey, feeling good? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, all right, you're starting at third. And I'm like, what?
Hold on. Just swinging.
Yeah, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, feeling good? I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, all right, you're in. I'm like, oh, God. All right. So he puts me in. First AB, first at bat, I felt good, no pain.
Okay.
I was just grateful to be out there and flew out to the warning track, felt good. Next AB, hit a bomb. So like I played really well.
Yeah.
Earned that job back. I was so grateful. I'm like, this is it. This is why I went through it.
Right.
Come back and be a part of this team and win the World Series. Well, my next day at practice, I broke it again.
Oh my gosh, Billy.
Yeah. So had another. I was done.
Okay, you got to talk to us how you did it. Like, was it swinging or what happened?
Nope. So I was fielding a backhand ground ball, and I did one of those like Jeter jump throws where I turn and throw, landed.
Oh my gosh.
And that was it. I was done. So then they sent me home. They went to the World Series, got second that year. So I missed the World Series. But then I had surgery again. So I got that year back.
Okay.
So that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that year back, had surgery again, but this time I did 4 months of rehab.
Okay.
I did 2 extra months more than I was supposed to.
Okay.
And my staff told me, listen, whenever you're good, you're in. Like, job is yours. Whenever you feel comfortable, it's yours. And I'm like, that's really cool. Most coaching staffs would not do that.
Yeah, 100%.
So I took my time, waited a month and a half into the season. I'm like, you know, I'm good. Feel ready. Was taking at bats during practice, feeling good. Step in there, first pitch, foul off a 80-mile-an-hour fastball and break my back again.
Oh my gosh.
Drop to a knee. He sees everybody's just silent.
Yeah.
Everybody's mouths are wide open. And he comes over. He's like, did you just do it again? I'm like, yeah. And I go, but if you take me out, I'm hitting you with this bat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm finishing. This is it. This is all I got.
Yeah.
Ended up somehow with a broken back, getting a hit, making a couple plays in the infield. And then I was done. And then that was early in the season, too. And we won the World Series that year.
But did you get to be there for that?
Nope.
Didn't even get to be there for that?
Nope, because I took on more of a coaching role after that because I would work with hitters, and I was very close with that staff. So I was lucky enough to be there the entire season until they went to Lewiston in Idaho for the World Series. But they couldn't travel me.
Yeah.
So I watched on TV.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it was a wild ride. It wasn't easy by any stretch, but we're here. We can walk. We're good.
All right. Blessings on that, and
yeah,
that you're able to be here to tell that story. But being just like getting there every single time, and then life's like, no. You're like, okay, well, I got it more, and then no again. Like that mentally, what are you going through when those things happen? Like, I know you're, looking for surgeons trying to defeat the odds, but in your head, is there still doubt, or got to cancel that out?
No, I refuse to believe it. And that's why I think having a foundation in faith is huge.
Yeah.
Faith saved me in those years. I'm like, there's no way God put me through all of that to finally figure it out to get here. Like, there's no way. And I wouldn't accept it. And I'm glad I didn't, because I learned a lot about myself in that 2 years of, I went 6 months of not being able to bend down, like using a cane. Like, it was rough. But when I finished and I broke it for the third time, I sat at the stadium for like an hour and a half in the stands, just looking, watching. And then I finally lost it at that point. Like, okay, like maybe I shouldn't bottle this up. So I sat there by myself and went after it and cried and did all that fun stuff. And then, I thought, okay, well, I went through this. This sucks. Feel bad for a couple of days, but then I got to get right back to like trying to help these guys get through what they're going through. So it wasn't easy, but luckily I had, again, a good family and a foundation in faith, and that's how I got through all that.
That's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing
appreciate
that.
it. Yeah. Cool.
So I know you had family on your side. Did you have anybody at the school that you could rely on too, to kind of talk through things, or no?
Yeah. So my roommate senior year, his name was Sam Faith. He was from Chicago area. Good dude. Yeah, we somehow both ended up at Southeastern. Strange.
Yeah.
Great roommate. I had a lot of great teammates that year. Coaching staff I was very close with. Our chaplain, like our pastor guy, his name was Andrew too. He was great too.
Okay.
So it got to the point where he saw that I was done, and then he was wanting to keep me busy. So I was speaking at FCA events, talking to guys, kids. I was constantly moving, constantly doing things to keep my mind off of it. So luckily I was at the best school I could have ever been at for that scenario.
No, do you still get to stay in touch with?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good. Can you kind of walk through internally what it was like having those last moments in baseball and deciding what you want to do afterwards after your senior year? So
when I got done, my family owns small businesses in town called the Well-Dressed Window. It's window treatments, it's like shutters and draperies like that. So that's what was always a safety for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't love it. And no shame in that. Like, it's a great business, family's happy, but I didn't love it. But when I got done, my coaching staff was immediately making calls to have me coach in college, immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I got to step away from the game. I can't do it. Well, they were relentless. I was getting calls every day, relentless, because I was already posting on Twitter, helping guys with the mental side.
Yeah.
And it grew and grew. And then next thing I know, I've got this credibility from the best staff in the country, plus, Twitter. And then next thing I know, I'm coaching college baseball. I was coaching at Parkland.
No way.
Yeah,
Like the JUCO here.
Mhm.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I was there for 1 semester. So I thought, okay, I want to step away from the game, but then a part of me was feeling pulled back in.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll try it. So I was there for a semester.
What'd you think?
Mm-mm. 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 No, didn't love it.
Okay.
I ended up, I won't go into too many details, but I learned about myself that I want to help guys with the game,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be writing lineups. I don't want to be doing laundry at 2 in the morning after JUCO games.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just coaching lifestyle is,
It's different.
it's different,
Yeah.
especially at a JUCO level.
Yeah.
I didn't, plus I didn't like the way guys were being treated too.
Okay.
You know, if I was a coach under somebody that would allow me and give me the freedom to be the coach that I wish I had. And in that environment, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So I ended up calling it after the semester being done, decided to step away from coaching altogether,
Okay.
and then joined the family business for a year. So I was
Okay.
doing that, talking with 75-year-old women about window treatments, and
Hey.
you know, it was fine. It was good. I enjoyed it for a little bit, but then I'm like, okay, this is not right. It doesn't feel right. So then I started the social media journey
Okay.
and helping guys with that, and then that grew, and now we're here. Now I'm able to do that full time, and so yeah, it was trying different things, realizing I don't like it, and I feel like that's what we all go through when we're done playing.
100%. What do you feel like having a coaching staff, especially your last program, that genuinely believed in you on and off the field, did for you, like in transitioning in life after sports and even maybe your last year?
It was everything.
Yeah.
I went through some of the worst coaching staffs you could have.
Right.
Like the worst to the best.
Yeah.
I was so grateful for Dinkle and all them. Unfortunately, they're all gone from Southeastern.
Do they still coach you?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Our head coach is with the Yankees now. Super
Oh.
cool. Oh, he's the best. He's incredible. And then our other assistant, he's with Tennessee Wesleyan back there. And then the other guy, I'm not sure. I don't know where Dahl is. He just had a baby. So I don't know what he's doing. But that was everything.
Yeah.
They were building me up. And it's nice when you know that when you're done or when you're hurt and you come back, they still believe in you.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, okay, this guy can help us. Although he's hurt right now and he can't walk,
Yeah.
they saw a year into the future. It was like, okay, he could help us.
Yeah.
So I was never pushed to the side. They were always calling, texting, hanging out in their office. Like it was everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to talk about mental health at all in your baseball career, or was it kind of just an unspoken thing?
It was, well, at Southeastern we did, but that's because Southeastern is one of the most Christian schools in the entire country.
Okay.
Like very, very, very Christian. So all mental health there was kind of centered around faith, which is great. It's totally fine. But at Baylor, which is also a Christian school, Creighton Christian school, we didn't talk about any of that.
Gotcha.
So, but Southeastern, yes, definitely.
So can we bounce back to your social media journey? I want you to kind of dive into, tell the audience what that is, what you do, and how you got into it.
Yeah. So when I was at Baylor, I was obsessed with this because I had teammates that weren't crazy gifted, weren't crazy talented.
Yeah.
But they had this like blind confidence. It didn't matter if they were 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts.
Yeah.
2 for 3, they were the same guy, and they were confident no matter what. And they genuinely thought in their head that they were better than everybody else. I'm like, how the hell do I get there?
Yeah.
You know, like, and I just obsessed with this science of achievement, helping guys with the mental side, helping myself. Like, how do I leverage my mind when I'm not playing well to still feel good?
Right.
Because the quality of your career will be dictated by how you feel most of the time.
Oh, 100%.
So I just obsessed over it. And then next thing I know, I've talked with tens of thousands of athletes over 2 years. And I realized that like maybe 1 out of 100 players is blessed with that blind confidence. But for the other 99, myself included, that can be conditioned. That can be created. That can be developed.
Okay.
It takes time. But if you put in the work and you're patient and you get real vulnerable with yourself, you can get there. So I just obsessed over that, like I said, for years. And then next thing I know, guys are reaching out, teams are reaching out, I'm helping them. And then I started this business called the Focus Forge with my dad, because I learned almost everything I knew up to that point from him.
Yeah.
Because he's just the best with all this stuff. So then we build these online programs. We partnered with a company out in Vegas. We flew out there, created the first like fully interactive training program for athletes with the mental side. Like it was really cool and took us about a year to build. But then we started getting guys in there hustling, and it's helping. And now we're starting to branch out into other things too. And so yeah, it started on Instagram and TikTok. I hate TikTok, but that's where it started. Hate that platform. But yeah, so now we're posting, helping guys any way we can, and so yeah.
Okay, so talk about social media as being a male in the industry. Did you deal with any like self-consciousness of putting yourself out there, even though you know you had good information to share, or were you like, you know what, I just got to do it, it'll be fine?
Well, yes, I did, because growing up I had a speech impediment. I had a stutter to where I couldn't even say my own name. And it was bad when I was growing up, and then when I got to like later high school it stopped. And then when I got to Baylor it came back. And it came back because our strength coach, he was from Africa, his name was Kale. He had us do like military style warm-ups. And so two guys would go out and lead it, and they would have to shout commands. They would shout it back, and then you'd do it. And 30 minutes long. And if you messed up and you're leading it, the guys would be punished and you'd sit there and watch. So I was told that I had to go lead it a bunch because the coaching staff was trying to figure out if I could handle it. And they knew that I had trouble speaking, but man, did Kale have a field day with that. Like ripping me to shreds. Like, this is your fault. This is your fault. And I let that get to me so bad where I couldn't speak. So then when I fast forward to social media, I'm getting in front of a camera and I'm like, oh, I can't even say my own name at times. Like, this is not good. But I knew it was the most uncomfortable thing in the world. But I knew that it's what I was meant to do. So I just forced myself to do it. And then now it took time, but now I don't have that speech impediment anymore. And so that was the biggest hurdle I went through, was the speaking in general, and then people that used to play with you, which I'm sure you've maybe experienced too. It's like, oh, who does this guy think he is? You know, and that's fine. And that part didn't really bother me. But comments, people making fake accounts and, you know, commenting and all that, which I still deal with every day, but I just laugh at it now. But it is a hurdle, and it is uncomfortable at first, but you just gotta trust that that's what you're meant to do. And if you can help one guy with that one post, then it's worth all the hate that comes with it.
Do you think that you use the confidence that you teach your athletes in what you do as well?
Oh, every day. Yeah, I mean, even when you're moving to a new city, like I use these tools and these principles every day in my life, because if I didn't, then why should I be teaching it to others? You know,
100%.
So it's like learning how to use your physiology, learning how to break down limitations, learning how to get these outcomes you want in advance so that when it's time to go, you're certain. Just all these things that I do on a daily basis, it changed my life. So yeah, I do use them every single day.
What do you think, because we obviously want to draw people to what you do, but what do you think some tips that you could give our audience today, just wanting to learn more about confidence or just struggling in their life as an athlete?
Yeah, so let's see how I want to approach this. So there are a couple things. So there are two things that we teach. It's the foundation of everything. And it's what we call our state. So our state is the condition of our mind and our body at any time. So state, we break down into two different categories of how you can control your state. And that's your physiology, your body, how you use your body, and your focus, what you decide to focus on. So what I tell athletes all the time, everybody's looking for that quick fix, right? When they're not shooting it well, when they're not swinging it well, when they can't command it on the mound, they all start panicking, right? And when somebody's panicking or they're anxious, they're frustrated, how are they carrying themselves? You know, shoulders slouched, head down, talking quiet, not on the balls of their feet. They're not themselves anymore. So if you can learn how to make a massive shift and just be conscious of the way you're carrying yourself, and that's a very taboo topic, right? Every coach is saying body language, and we're all like, all right, whatever, dude. Grow up. You know what I mean? So like we've all heard it, and it's taboo, but what happens in your nervous system when you actually make a massive state change with the way you use your body? It actually sends signals through your nervous system into your brain that are going to change the way you think, and it'll make you confident. And I know it sounds weird, but it's not just our bodies that follow our brains. in those moments, our brains follow our bodies.
No, that
So
makes sense.
that's the biggest thing that we tell guys who are looking for that quick fix
Yeah.
is be conscious of the way you're carrying yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just going to affect the way your coaching staff sees you, it's going to way you see you
Yeah.
and the way that your neural pathways are working and firing. That's the biggest thing, is learning how to use your body to your advantage, especially when things aren't going well.
Do you have any reading materials or any podcasts that you really like or recommend?
Yeah, so in terms of visualization,
Mhm.
I like the book Think and Grow Rich. Now that's a finance book,
Okay.
but it's like written by Napoleon Hill. He's the founding father of everything that we teach, mindset stuff. He was working with Henry Ford and Andrew Carnegie and all those cool guys.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. Let's see. The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F.
That one's a good one.
Great book.
Yeah.
Learning how to detach yourself from the outcome.
Yep.
Incredible book. I've read it 10 times. Go
Yeah.
back to it every year. Let's see.
Did you ever get into Atomic Habits?
Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah.
Incredible book. That's the other one. Yeah, those three are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because habits we do talk about a lot,
Yeah.
but not as much as the principles that we teach and from The Subtle Art. That one's really good too. Like that's F it, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Do you still get a chance to be athletic now in your life without the worry of injury, or how do you combat with that?
That's a battle every day.
Yeah.
Because it's now I've got in my low back, I've had 2 surgeries. I've got scar tissue. When I wake up in the morning, it takes me an hour and a half to be able to bend down. Like that's just life now.
Yeah.
But when I get loose, I mean, I'm working out 4 to 5 days a week,
Oh, good.
playing a little pickleball. How sad is that?
They got you into pickleball.
How sad is that? Yeah, brutal. Golf. I golf a lot, but my family's really good at golf, and they beat me into the ground. So, but I play that. I'm trying to find ways to constantly stay competitive.
Yeah.
But I'm really doing that in business. Like I take that energy and that competitive drive and that discipline, and I narrow it down into helping guys get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pickleball, golf, and working out. That's about it.
What would you say the hardest part of the transition from leaving sports into what you do now was?
I would say we all struggle with the idea of not basing our own self-worth and placing our identity into our sport.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I had no backup plan really.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it was professional baseball, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to go until I can't.
Yeah.
But there was no real backup plan in my head.
Exactly.
So then when I get in the accident, it kind of gave me time to like think about it and be honest with myself. But then when you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what do I do now? Like I can't. It's hard to see yourself going from playing in big stadiums and putting your cleats on every day, being on the court every day, to now you're waking up and no one's yelling at you to go to morning weights.
Yep.
No one's forcing you to go to study hall. You're not hearing your name announced. Like it's just all those things.
Yeah.
Is learning how to be okay with that. And for me, I was fortunate enough to have these tools to like lean on.
Yeah.
To like help me navigate that. But I understand how hard that is. So I was constantly having to channel all that discipline and that energy into something productive that was not baseball related.
Yeah.
So
do you ever think that you internalized stuff after sports, or did you feel it all, realize, okay, it's done, but there's something more for me?
I did internalize it a little bit,
Yeah.
just because I made so many mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
You know, we all do, I guess, but I chose the wrong school going to Creighton. I had a lot of really cool schools I could have gone to, and I chose them because my thought process was, okay, they gave me a lot of money, so they value me, so I'll go make an impact right away. I won't deal with the BS.
Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong.
Right.
You know, so it's easy to like look back on things that are wrong or things that you did wrong, but it's not going to help you.
Yeah.
You know, so I was having a hard time figuring out like, okay, why did I go through all I went through to get in an accident and be done? Like, why? I asked myself that question for months. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And then now that I do what I do, I realized it was all for this. So that gives me peace. And I never think about it ever anymore. The last 2 years, I just don't even think about it. Like, I know what I'm meant to do. It happened. It sucks.
Yeah.
But it's over. So
that's amazing. I think that's huge, to not acknowledge the past, but not stay there, right? Like you
Yeah.
have to be able to move forward, not necessarily in the future, but be in the present moment, right?
Yeah.
So, I also have one more question for you. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to any former athletes right now?
Hmm. If you are stuck in the situation where you feel like what you were meant to do is behind you,
Hmm.
it's not. And I know that sounds taboo, it sounds cheesy, but we all can find purpose in something that is greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like when athletes are done, we all kind of go to that poor me, like, oh man, like I'm done. I should, what do I do now? What do I do now? But if you can redirect your focus on the helping others,
Yeah.
take the focus off of yourself. It's amazing how easy it is to find what you're meant to do quicker.
Yeah.
Because we all are always focused on what's wrong and what's wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And you are going to get what you focus on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like if you are constantly self-obsessed, and that sounds harsh,
Yeah.
but when we're constantly worried about ourselves, that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We are obsessed with ourselves and where we're at, and that can be a positive thing if you channel it in the right way.
Right. 100%.
So take that frustration of where you are now is not where you're supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
and go out there and apply those principles of discipline that got you into college sports to begin with. Channel that into finding what you're meant to do next, because how exciting is that?
Yeah.
You're done. Yeah, that sucks, but what's next? If you can see it as what's next, not, oh, what's next?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a subtle change in the way you approach it. It's on us,
Yeah.
Nobody else can do that for us.
I love that.
So.
I'm gonna even use that now.
Yeah.
What's next?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was awesome. Thank you so much, Billy, for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, I think our athletes and former athletes definitely needed to hear this. I know I needed to hear this, so we appreciate you. If you like today's episode and want to hear and see more stories from former athletes, be sure to subscribe, and we will see you next time.